No, never thought he was bad.
What? History.
So after the shooting event, Grayshan demonstrated his usefulness once more, and I think Horse would make him a permanent part of his group. I think this would be a bad idea because Zenzo, Horse's brother, didn't enjoy the attention that Grayshan received. Even when Horse requested Grayshan to take him to his goal, Zenzo still felt quite uneasy. Zenzo was an unreasonable man who occasionally got Horse into problems. We saw that he killed the lawyer in the previous Parish episode, even though the only goal was to frighten him into giving over all the information. Zenzo and Shamiso became concerned when Horse vanished. Shamiso arrived at Lusto's residence because she had cause to suspect that he was involved in her brother's disappearance. Lusto verified that Horse had been shot by Anton's men. Horse's greatest adversary was Anton. In fact, Grayshan used to work for him. Luckily, Anton's men had to retreat and flee as the NOPD helicopter began to hover over them. Grayshan sprang in Horse's direction and lifted him. Horse had lost a lot of blood when a gunshot went through his body. Grayshan realized he would need to take him to a reliable person. At one time in his life, Grayshan was quite close to Anne, and he knew that she would not refuse his requests for assistance. Grayshan, Luke, and Horse arrived at Anne's apartment, and after a brief moment of hesitation, she noticed the expression on the small boy's face and accepted him all in. Anne did not want anything to do with such people or such work, thus she was furious at Grayshan. Like Grayshan, she was aware of the ramifications of her past deeds, and the two of them truly decided to make a positive change. However, Grayshan had battled for her independence and ensured that her poisonous and violent ex-partner left her, so Anne realized she owed him a great deal. After Anne sutured the incision, Horse's life was preserved. Grayshan saw that a guy had entered the property after Horse had assumed he could return to his home. That man was employed by Anton, and it was his responsibility to complete the task assigned to him. The fact that Anton's men were unable to kill Horse infuriated him, and he vowed to hold him accountable for their botched effort. Anne was requested to take this man inside after he brandished a pistol on her. After defeating the guy, Grayshan and Anne bound him and brought him to Horse's house. Grayshan was informed by Anne that she would never want to see his face again. Anne did not make a mistake. She took them in because she knew Grayshan needed assistance, but she also knew that if she made even one mistake, everything she had worked so hard to build would fall apart. She didn't want to ruin anything because starting over again required a lot of work. When Grayshan returned home at the conclusion of Parish Episode 3, he saw Anton was already seated. Things for Grayshan and his family didn't seem good at all as the episode concluded on a cliffhanger. We learned in the mid-credit sequences that Anton had advised Grayshan to murder Horse in order to preserve his family. Grayshan would have to accept Anton's words now, without a doubt. Grayshan had dug his own grave because he had no other option. He understood that life should have stayed that way since he had left it a long time ago. I think that Grayshan will now consent to work for Horse and find a way out of this predicament. Everything was on the line, and Grayshan would have to proceed extremely carefully at every turn. It seems that his family didn't know much about his background, so Grayshan would also need to explain things to them. It would be intriguing to observe how Grayshan responds to the circumstance and whether he is successful in saving his family.